Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We're back, and that means that we've officially made it through our home study.
Woohoo!
So now we are officially in the matching phase, and so I'm just going to give you a little overview of our matching consultation and where we are now and what kind of the next steps are. And so about a week ago, we had our last official person contact us and say, all right, let's do your matching consultation. And so we got on the phone with her, and she asked us 4 questions that we had really been asked before by other people, but she was the official person who really writes it down and goes into our record, and that's our official decision.
Yeah, so this time it's for real.
For
it wasn't
real.
just, hey, what do you think about this? It was like, this is how we're going to start matching off. So
yeah. So one of the first questions that she asked was, what ethnicity would you like to adopt? Because there's so many options with different ethnicities and then mixed couples, and so we elected to adopt Caucasian embryos. And then the next question she asked was kind of a 3-part question, and it was about genetic health history of the genetic family. And so she started off with developmental or mental and emotional health. And so that was major stuff like depression and anxiety and stuff. And she said, would you be okay, the specific question was, would you be okay adopting embryos from people who report mild anxiety or depression? And we said, yes, that's fine, because
basically,
everybody,
who doesn't have mild anxiety
some
and
sort in our
right?
culture is just so rampant that it's just if you said no to that, whatever.
There's probably no embryos without a tiny bit of medical history in the family of that.
So that was fine with us. The next thing she asked was developmental. So she kind of focused on the autism scale, and she said, would you be okay adopting embryos from a family who reports autism? And we said that it's not an automatic deal breaker for us, but we would prefer not to. And it's the kind of thing that it's you have no real idea if any embryos are going to have this, and if you have your own biological genetic children, then you could have the same risk factors. So it's not, we just were okay, well, that's something that we'll just take it as it comes. So
yeah, I think that the part of the hesitation could be if you get asked that question, is it wrong to say that you're not comfortable with adopting someone on the autism scale? And I think that it's just a decision that each couple has to make, and we just don't feel that we are ready for that right now. Maybe at some point in the future we will be, and when we adopt again, we can look into adopting someone with special needs or something like that. And there are couples out there who that's what they're looking for, and God has equipped them to be able to handle that. And so we just, at this point, don't feel like we're ready, and, we think that that's okay.
But like we said, it's not an automatic deal breaker. We just said we prefer not to. And then the last thing was, I didn't really understand it completely. It was infectious diseases or something. And it was if the parents test for Hep B or C, then would you care to have their embryos? But apparently the vaccine, if a parent gets a vaccine, then it can show up that they're positive or something. And so
they might not necessarily have the disease, but the vaccine apparently can trigger that positive test. And so, we said that we would be okay as long as the positive test is because of a vaccine, and they said that they can verify that that's the case. So
I didn't answer that question. She asked that, and I was like,
yeah, Ellen looked at me and said,
this is your thing, science. So that was kind of the health things, and I think we may have mentioned to her that there were some other things that we felt unequipped for or ill-equipped for, and just kind of listed off some other diseases or conditions that we felt that we would rather not go into automatically, just knowing that this is in our future. So, but like we said, God's going to equip us for whatever we need to be equipped for. And so we're just moving forward in faith that that's going to happen, whatever His will is. And then the third question was, how many embryos would you like to adopt? And she said, normally we ask people for a range of numbers, but Tim and I actually had recently arrived at a pretty hard number which is 4. We feel that 4 is the perfect thing for us. Just the way that transfers work, if you do an odd number, then you wouldn't be able to adopt, or you'd have to just the way that the transfers work out. We decided that 4 would be what we wanted. So we could do 2 transfers, and then if it works, great, and if it doesn't, then that's the end for us.
Yeah, we had originally thought about 5, and we're like, oh, 5's a good number. But then the more we thought about it, the more we realized our fertility clinic was only going to transfer up to 2 embryos at a time. So that would result in 3 transfers, which would be pretty expensive. And so we just decided,
I didn't really want to do a transfer for 1 embryo, just in case it didn't survive. But then to adopt 6, you have to consider.
What if all 6?
All of them, you have to go into it saying that the percentages are that not all of them will live, but there is a complete chance that they all could, and we just didn't feel like we could have 6 kids.
And then to top it all off, some of them could divide and have monozygotic twins.
Oh, that's a big word.
So yeah, it could be more than 6. We could have more than 4 come out of our embryos.
So we decided 4 was what the number that we were comfortable with. But then one of the things that our social worker brought to our attention was that there are groups of embryos that are labeled harder to place, and that might be because of parents' genetic history or some different factors, but sometimes it's just how small the groupings are. So people are probably relatively more drawn to adopting 4, 5, 6 embryos because then that gives you more chances to have children. But there are couples that have 1 embryo, or there's couples that have 2 embryos, and people don't normally, I would say, want to adopt 2s because then you have 2 embryos. Those are your chances. So our social worker said that there's actually an opportunity that you can say that you're open to adopting from multiple families. So what we said is that as long as they hit the other criteria on our list, we were open to adopting 2 from one family and 2 from another family, just to because we thought that would be so cool to help out couples who have been waiting a long time to place their smaller grouping of embryos. So yeah, as long as they clear everything else on the list, then we were fine doing that.
Yep.
So, and then the 4th thing that she asked was about communication, and we had already discussed this a few times together and with other people, and so we kind of decided that we were open to email communication a few times a year, and then once our children are older and if they decide that they would like to have a relationship or meet their genetic siblings or their genetic parents, then we would be open to meeting in person. There were, I guess, a few things that were attractive about that to us, because when our niece and nephew were born, it was so fun to look at them as kids and say, oh my gosh, she looks like you, or she looks like your dad, or whatever. And so I think having a semi-open communication would maybe give us that opportunity. That seems really attractive to me, to be able to send a picture, a couple times a year and say, all right, who does, he or she look like in your family, and maybe get a picture back. Or I read stories about people who, teething was a really hard thing, and so the adoptive mother emailed the genetic mom and said, okay, what did you do for your kids? The kids that you're raising, and kind of got, since they're siblings, maybe they're similar. And so this other family was like a resource. And so that was really attractive to us because they gave us several options. It's a wide scale of or range of things. So it's completely closed, is no contact, it's totally anonymous. There's semi-open, which there's a lot of range in that, and then completely open, which I've read about and talked to people who actually go on vacations with people, with each family, and best friends and stuff. And so semi-open is where we kind of fall right now. And then there's
part of the reason for that is because we don't really know much about the family that we are potentially adopting from, and so we can choose to be semi-open, and we can increase that openness over time depending on our communication and whether or not both families feel comfortable with it. But we aren't able to go backwards, so we can't go from semi-open back to closed. And so we feel like, being able to have that communication with genetic parents is really important for all the reasons that Ellen said. And then over time, if we really hit it off with the genetic parents, then we're open to increasing our openness and getting to that point where maybe we visit, maybe
they visit. Yeah.
maybe we become best friends forever. Who knows? We're definitely open to that, but we want to start somewhere that's kind of in the middle.
Yeah. So there's in semi-open too, you have the option of having Nightlight, which our adoption agency mediate. So, there's just like you could send an email to them and then they send it on. So there's no like personal contact, but you still have communication. So there's just like a wide range, like closed Facebook groups, private blogs, where just the families have access to it. So there's like a huge range of things that people do. And you just have to talk to your social worker and other people and just kind of find out what works for them.
So that's it.
Yeah, so that was our consultation. And they said that so the lady we talked to will send that information on to the matching director once we had paid our matching fee, which we did. And so then the matching director takes our criteria and has a database, and she will go and hand pick the couples that she presents our profile, that she's going to present our profile to. And she said that depending on how busy the director is, it could take 3 to 5 days. And so since ours was about 10 days ago,
somewhere around there,
we realized that someone could be looking at our profile this weekend.
Right now,
they could be thinking about.
They could be looking at it and being like, they have a really cute dog, which we do. You want to see our cute dog?
No.
Come here, guys. Guys, come here. Come here. Ready? Up. Up. Oh, there's our cute puppy. Yep. So they're looking at our profile saying, man, that dog looks like it could raise a kid.
Yeah. So anyway, so right now we're just waiting on to be matched. And the director said, if questions come up, or the matching coordinator said that if questions come up, like if they find someone who hits everything on our checklist, but they do have a history of autism, they'll check in with us and say, would you be open to this? Or, we have a couple who hits everything on your checklist, except they want to be completely closed adoption. They'll check in with us and say, okay, I know this wasn't on your original plan. Like, what would you be interested in moving forward? So I feel like there's a lot of communication that's going to be going on even while we're waiting. But maybe they won't need to. So right now we're waiting for somebody to pick us. So I get a lot of questions asking like, okay, so when are you going to be able to look at all the couples that you can choose? It's like, no, that's not how that works. No. So our profile, the matching director finds one couple to present our profile to. So one couple gets our profile at a time, and they get 2 weeks. So they will get our profile, which we can talk more about our profile later. They'll get it, and then they have 2 weeks to decide if they like us. And then if they
shouldn't take 2 weeks.
Oh, come on. And then if they say yes, then we get their information. So that means medical history, and I think we get like a little bio about them and pictures of their family. And then we get 2 weeks to decide if we want to say yes. And then if we say yes, then the medical information gets sent on to our embryologist in our fertility clinic, and then they get a chance to say yes or no. Because the embryos get graded and there's all this kind of stuff, so the embryologist has to weigh in and say yes or no. If the couple, we will not know that our profile is being seen until somebody says yes. So several people may say no, and we just have to wait, and we just assume that people are going through our profile. If we say no, then we have to write a letter that says no thank you to this genetic family. So we are really hoping that we don't have to do that, because I'm kind of dreading the idea of having to say no thank you to somebody. But yeah, so then we're waiting for notification on being matched, then go to contract, shipping, and then the transfer. So we'll do videos for all those different phases. But so that's kind of where we are.
Yep.
And right now, I think that our prayer requests, specifically for the matching director, if she has not completed our matches, that we ask that you would pray for her as you just bless her work as she searches for families for us. And then just pray for the genetic families that are seeing our profile, that even if they don't pick us, that God would lead them in what's best for their family. And we pray that somebody would pick us soon. And then we pray for wisdom for ourselves, that we would be able to make a good decision when somebody does pick us, whether or not we should say yes back. And then also for just patience while we wait. And it's a little easier this time knowing that this is kind of our job, is just to wait right now. So not too bad. And like we've said before, please feel free to share this video, share our channel, share our Facebook pages, whatever. We really want to be a resource, and it's been so much fun to already have had the opportunity to be a resource for several people. And all of your encouragement and support has just completely added to our joy in all of this. Like, we just can't tell you how much it's meant to us to have the prayers and the financial support. You guys just rock. You guys are so awesome.
It's been incredible.
And it's just fun to watch how God has already blessed this experience that we're having to help other people and to make an impact in other people's lives. And it's just you guys have made a huge impact in our lives. And so we are just so grateful for that.
Yeah.
So leave questions below in the comments, or send it to us on Facebook or Instagram, and we would love to be in touch with you and hear about your experiences and answer any questions that you might have. So
yeah. And thanks for joining us on our journey, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hopefully soon.